What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Oak Tree Football Channel. And in today's video, I'm going to do something a bit different. Today, I'm going to be talking about the Philadelphia Eagles, their game today, losing to the LA Rams. So this is something I haven't really done before, but if you did not know, I'm a fan of the Philadelphia Eagles. And today, I'm just going to give you my thoughts on them losing, of course, today to the Rams. So this is their second loss in 2 games so far this season, and really they just have not looked great. They really did not look very good today. There definitely were some positives, which I'll talk about in a second, but there were more negatives. And in this video, I'm just going to talk about, obviously, the positives, the negatives, and then just some other things about the Eagles, their chances for the playoffs for the rest of the season, all that stuff. So starting with the positives, now there's only really a few positives that I have, but one of them is a huge positive. I think it's really, really good. And the first positive is the offensive line played really, really well. Last week, the offensive line played terrible against the Washington football team. They conceded 8 sacks, I believe. Just was not good at all. And today, against probably better Rams defensive line, better Rams defense overall, that's an argument that you can make. You can make an argument for the football team and the Rams. Both have really good defensive lines, but the offensive line didn't concede any sacks today against players like Aaron Donald and a lot of other really, really good players on that Rams offensive line or Rams defensive line and just line and defense as a whole. So I was really happy with that because, of course, the offensive line was so bad against the football team. Offensive line was really, really good today, and I think that can really help out this season. We really need to build on that because, the offensive line, when it was so bad last week, that really, I think, caused the Eagles to lose that game. This week, you can't really make that argument because the offensive line played really, really well. So at least we have the offensive line going for us. And then the second positive I have is Miles Sanders' performance today. Miles Sanders was really good in my opinion. I believe he had 20 carries for 95 yards and a touchdown. I think he was really the best player on the Eagles today. There are a few other solid players, but he's really the one that stands out the most to me, especially on offense. Missed last week, came in this week for his first game of the season, and he looked really solid. 95 yards, 1 touchdown. Of course, rookie last season, he was solid as a rookie, but he split carries with other backs. He wasn't really a starter for the entire season, but this season he really is a starter, and as long as he can stay healthy, he will stay as the starter. And I really like him as a running back. I think he can do big things. I think he showed that he can do big things today. I think he was really solid, and he definitely stood out to me in a pretty poor game overall for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now looking at the negatives, only a few positives there because really there was not much great about this game for the Eagles. Negatives, one of the things was Carson Wentz's interceptions. Wentz really was not great today. I mean, he threw a solid amount of yards, but didn't throw any touchdowns. There were 2 interceptions, including one just outside the red zone. I believe it's the 21-yard line. I believe he had 3 turnovers last week, a fumble and 2 interceptions. He had 2 interceptions this week as well. That's just not good. I think Wentz is a really good quarterback, and I think he can play on a really high level, but he has not looked great so far this season. I definitely think he's had his pros, but he definitely has his cons as well. He needs to limit the turnovers. I think he can, be better without that. If he can limit on the turnovers, I think the Eagles got a good chance of, making it to the playoffs this season. But if he keeps putting up 2 or 3 turnovers a game, 2 interceptions, a fumble every game, that's trouble. That is some big trouble. But he was able to get into the end zone today on a rushing touchdown, which was good. But still, not the best as a passer today. Didn't throw a single touchdown, threw 2 interceptions. He's got to do something to change because if he keeps putting up as many turnovers as he has, the Eagles could be in some trouble this season, to be honest. But I don't think it's completely his fault because another negative I have is the receiving group. The wide receivers and tight ends just could not get going today. I think Deshaun Jackson was the leading receiver with something like 62 receiving yards. That's just not good enough. And the Eagles do have a pretty weak receiving group, in my opinion, but the tight ends, in my opinion, they have the best tight end group in the NFL with Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert. Both really, really good tight ends. Those guys were good last week, especially in the first half, but this week they really could not get much going at all. The receivers weren't great. Jalen Reagor hasn't really, showed any reason why he was worth that pick over Justin Jefferson or any other receiver in the class. I think he will develop. I think he was okay in his first game last week, but he still has a lot to prove. Alshon Jeffrey did miss this game. Hopefully he'll be back soon and he can, kind of bring something new to this receiving group. But, Deshaun Jackson wasn't great even though he led the team. Tight ends weren't great. Jalen Reagor wasn't great. Someone really needs to step up in this receiving group because I think Carson Wentz is a really good quarterback, but if the receivers are going to be playing on the low level they are, I don't really think the Eagles are going to make it that far this season, and that's my honest opinion as an Eagles fan. Their offensive line played well today. We'll have to see if that holds up. I think Miles Sanders is a good back, and I think Carson Wentz is a good quarterback. Now they just need to solve the receiver and tight end position. I think their tight ends can play on high levels, but the wide receivers, they really need to figure something out there. But that's my thoughts on the offense. Looking at the defense was pretty poor today. They only got 1 sack, no interceptions at all. Jared Goff had 3 touchdown passes, all of them to Tyler Higbee. I believe Robert Woods had a rushing touchdown as well. The Eagles just couldn't stop him today at all. The pass defense wasn't great. Neither was the rush defense as well. The Rams didn't have any 100-yard rushers, but they had a few guys who had, over 50 yards, over 30 yards or whatever. The Eagles just were not great all around today on defense, and that's something that has to change. I don't think this defense is necessarily strong, but there definitely are some bright spots on that defense, especially when the Eagles, strengthened that defense this offseason, trading for Darius Slay and signing Javon Hargrave. Those two guys are really, really good players, but I don't think they've been great so far. And then a lot of the Eagles, players who have been there for a few years now, they haven't been great as of late. I think Brandon Graham was okay today, but not much else on the defense really stood out to me, and that's a bit worrying, to be honest, because someone needs to step up if this Eagles team really wants to get to the level they were on, last year and the year before. Even though they weren't great last year, they still made it to the playoffs, and of course in that Super Bowl season, something needs to change right now. There are still a few players out with injuries for the Eagles that should be coming back soon, but I don't know how much these players that are out is really going to affect the Eagles when they come back because, Alshon Jeffrey, I think he could make a big impact, but he's had issues in the past. A few years ago in that playoff game against the Saints when he dropped the pass, which led to the interception, which of course lost the game for the Eagles. He's made some mistakes in the past, and I just think something needs to change because even with pretty good players coming back and even with pretty good players on the field right now, just nothing is going on, and I don't think any players that are on the team really right now can change that at the moment. Something really needs to change for the whole team. Something needs to change. I don't know if something's going on behind the scenes or in the locker rooms, but these players just are not playing how I would normally expect them to. But just some thoughts I have from both the Eagles games so far. I didn't do my thoughts on last week's game, but I decided to do it this week. Too many turnovers is one thing. 3 today, a few last week as well. That needs to change. The Eagles, they have turnovers. That's a thing that happens to them. Carson Wentz doesn't normally throw interceptions. I think last year he threw 7 interceptions the whole season, and so far he's thrown 4 this year, which isn't great. The Eagles are turning the ball over way, way too much. They need to limit on that, and then I think that's when things start to change. Because if they're not turning the ball over last week against the football team, I think they win that game. Maybe even this week against the Rams as well. I think the Rams played really well, but if the Eagles can limit on the turnovers, it's at least a closer game. The Eagles just were not good. They just haven't been good enough, keeping hold of the ball. The second thing that I've really noticed is they really can't get the stops when they need it most. Last week in the fourth quarter, that's when they really collapsed. And same this game as well. Going into the fourth quarter, it was a 5-point game, 1 touchdown game. The Eagles are still easily in the game. And then the Rams scored 2 touchdowns in the fourth, and that game was just over. The Eagles just cannot get stops when it really matters. Last week on 4th down, the Washington football teams converted multiple times, and the Eagles just couldn't stop them. The Eagles cannot get the stops when needed most, and that needs to change because you can get stops on every play, but it matters most when you get it, on 4th down or on 3rd down, because then you get the ball back. That's not what the Eagles have been doing. They've been fine on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd down, and then on 4th down, or depending on if the team goes for it on 4th down, or punts it, or kicks field goal or whatever. They just can't get the stops on third down or fourth down, and that's when it matters most. And if that keeps happening, I really don't see the Eagles being that good this year. But I still think the Eagles have a chance of making it to the playoffs because I think this division is fairly weak. As of recording this, the Washington football team is losing to the Arizona Cardinals. The Giants lost today, so they're also 0-2. So currently bottom of the division, you got the Giants and Eagles 0-2. The Cowboys won today to go up to 1-1. And as of right now, as of when I'm recording this video, the Washington football team is losing to the Arizona Cardinals. So we'll have to see what happens in that game. But yeah, I still think the Eagles have a chance to go to the playoffs. But like I said in this video, there are a lot of things that need to change. I definitely had some positives from this game, the offensive line and Miles Sanders, but there were a lot more negatives to take from this game. So these were my thoughts on the Philadelphia Eagles' performance today against the Los Angeles Rams, their second loss of the season. So this was definitely a different video from what I normally make. If you want to see more videos like this, definitely tell me in the comment section below if you just want to see my thoughts on the Philadelphia Eagles after the game each week. But yeah, these were my thoughts on the Philadelphia Eagles this week. Just weren't good enough and haven't been good enough this season. But if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like. And if you are new around here, feel free to subscribe for more NFL and college football content, and maybe some more Eagles content as well. But thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video.